Hey, Mr. Wiedemer here from Mr. Wiedemer's History. Today's video we're going to talk about American history in 15 minutes. This is pre-colonial to the Civil War. Student objective, you guys be able to gain an understanding of the main concepts that are covered in the American History 1 course. Here we go. It all starts in the beginning. Long before the Europeans came over here, long before Columbus and George Washington, we had the Native Americans some 10,000 years ago coming over here, following the food supply after the last ice age, coming over here through the land bridge up through the Bering Strait, and they're going to settle in North, Central, and South America. Hundreds of Native American tribes are going to settle in America. Most notable being the big three: the Aztec, Inca, and the Maya. The Aztec in present-day Mexico, the Inca in present-day Peru, and the Maya in present-day Guatemala, southern Mexico. Other notable Native American groups in North America can be the Iroquois, the Plains Nations, Seminole, Cherokee, and Comanche. As you see in this map here, there's going to be tons of different Native American groups here in North America. And we here in Missouri are going to be right there. We're going to be with these two groups right here. The Sloughwan, Cataban, and the Caddoan are going to be our groups that will be settled here in the present-day Missouri. But you see all these different Native American tribes, and many of these Native American tribes today, like states and roads and everything, are named after these Native American tribes with their heritage. But you see just tons of Native American tribes that make up North America. Long before the Europeans got here, America was settled. And so Leif Erikson, he's the first European to step foot on North American continent, the Viking from Scandinavia. And he founded present-day Newfoundland. And he does not get much credit because they came and went with no really written record. And if he would have wrote stuff down and people would have read it and be like, oh, let's go over this Vinland, it's like a new continent, then we might be celebrating Leif Erikson Day instead of Columbus Day every year. But that's neither here nor there. But he didn't write it down, so he doesn't get much credit. But he was there first, ladies and gents. But the Age of Exploration, this is kind of what started it all. Okay, in 1492, everything changed when the Italian explorer sailing for Spain, Christopher Columbus, stumbled upon this new world. Yes, I say stumbled upon on purpose because, well, interesting enough, he went to his deathbed still thinking he found a new route to Asia, because that's what he was looking for. And that's why they called people here Indians, because he thought he was in the Indies. Yeah, throughout his entire life over here, he still thought he found a route to Asia. Oh, Columbus. But the reason why he gets all the fame and glory, because A, he was the first one over here, and B, he ushered in the Age of Exploration. Now, the debate's still up in the air whether he rightfully gets credit for this. Why should we celebrate a day for Columbus, the guy who didn't think he was in a new world, and the guy who was a really bad politician, really bad leader, and not a very good human being? But, on the other hand, he did usher in the Age of Exploration, and so there's your debate right there. Good or bad, he gets credit, and Europeans start coming over in droves. Portugal, the leading sea power in the world at the time, but they were content to just going around Africa. We'll reach Asia that way, and we have the monopoly over the trade that way. And Spain's like, well, let's continue going west then. Columbus found this land over here. Let's do this. And so it opened the doorway to Spain become the dominant force in all of the Americas. And you see, look at this Spanish Empire here in America. They got pretty much everything. And Portugal decided not to do much in America. They got this land right here, Brazil. And that is why today Brazil speaks Portuguese, because that's the Portuguese line. The paper bull, the line of demarcation, is what set that apart. And Spain got all this other land. So they became the dominant force in all of North and South America. And while they're doing so, they were in search for gold, because they want to get rich, and also to spread Catholicism throughout the world. They thought it was their duty to spread Catholicism throughout all the land. And they would get this by any means necessary, even if it meant enslaving the recently conquered Native Americans, working in the mines, working in the fields, whatever it took, gold and Christians. Now, English colonies Their story begins in 1585. Really, the story of the United States begins here. The establishment of the mysterious English colony of Roanoke. Now, no one really knows what happened to Roanoke, because when the leader left and comes back, the only thing left is Croatoan. And what's the word Croatoan? And it could have been a Native American tribe that conquered them. Could have been, the tribe that they went to go live with. Could have been a nearby island. No one really knows what happened to Roanoke. And so we skip ahead to 1607 when Jamestown becomes the first permanent English colony in the New World. And this sets up the rest of the colonies. There are 13 colonies all along the East Coast. Present-day Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and New York. All were the colonies of England. All the colonies in the New World. And now they became the first 13 United States of America. And so Jamestown started it all. Here's a little picture of what Jamestown looked like at the time period, a little recreation there. In September 1620, the Pilgrims came over for religious freedom around Plymouth Colony. Yes, the religious freedom that we hold so dear, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, started with the Pilgrims coming over here in 1620 in the Plymouth Colony. They found the first colonial plan of self-government. That's very important because we want to be self-governing for the longest time. And this is the Mayflower Compact. They signed a contract before they even set foot on the soil. So they knew how to rules and laws and regulations. That was the colonial first plans of government. Also, the Virginia House of Burgesses was another example of colonial self-government. And so the colonies grew and grew and grew and became very prosperous. And so mercantilism, triangle trade, began to prosper between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. So as you see here, here's what the trade is all about. The Americans gave Britain, Europe, sugar, tobacco, and cotton to Europe. The Europeans gave the Africans textiles, rum, and manufactured goods, and the Africans gave slaves to the Americans. Yes, human beings were sold for textiles, alcohol, and manufactured goods. Wow. Just wow. So there's your triangle trade. This kind of was set up all of European economy, mercantilism throughout the colonial era. Right, the colonies became a centerpiece for the economies of Europe. The colonies were a source of raw materials, a ready-made market to sell goods, cash crops, such as tobacco was the first cash crop, helped keep Jamestown afloat. Then cotton became king later on after Eli Whitney's cotton gin. And so then we got slavery. Right? So it's made it all possible easily with little cost, and except for the cost of human lives and human dignity. As you see here in this picture, just the awfulness of slavery, which is really a big black mark on our history, which we'll talk about a lot. The several black marks in United States history, and slavery was kind of the first one. And then we come to the Revolution, American Revolution. American colonists begin to get restless. Right, when the Crown needing to pay for the French and Indian War they just fought, began taxing colonists very heavily. Now, it wouldn't be bad in itself. It's just, hey, taxes. Okay, that's fine, because we're paying considerably less taxes than people in Britain anyways at the time. That's not the bad part. The bad part is we had no representation. We had no say on what taxes, how much taxes, or who was going to tax us. And so that's what upset us. And so it comes to no taxation without representation. Give us representation in Parliament, and we're fine. We'll pay your taxes. Not a big deal. But Britain will not give us representation, and so enough is enough. We decided to rebel against the Crown. The major events had the Boston Tea Party, throwing tea over the side in protest, Boston Massacre, battles of Lexington and Concord, the first battles of the Revolutionary War, all set the stage. And on July 4th, 1776, the U.S. declared its independence from Britain. Sorry, Britain, but it's too late to apologize. Dear Britain, it's over. Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. We are America. What are you going to do about it? Well, what are you going to do about it? We're going to go to war. And so the American colonists fought back under the leadership of General George Washington, really one of our greatest assets here. The colonists were outmatched, outmanned, outgunned, but it didn't matter because we had heart. We had a reason to fight. This is our lives we're talking about here. This is our freedom and liberty, and we're going to fight for it. The Colonials defeated British one final time at the Battle of Yorktown. Ragtag group of farmers defeated the greatest military might known to man. The first Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, was the first Constitution of the United States. It didn't work out. The federal government was way too weak. So we had to rewrite a new Constitution on September 17, 1787. And this emphasized federalism, the Bill of Rights. They're very, very key, integral parts of the Constitution. A new nation, George Washington, the first president of the United States, set several precedents, such as his farewell address, where he emphasized neutrality, stay away from Europe, stay out of their business. 2 terms and step down, no political parties. One of the first things we do when he leaves, we form 2 political parties, the Federalist and the Democrat Republicans. And that was fueled by one of the greatest early American rivalries, Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. Alright, the only thing they ever had in common was a mutual hatred of Aaron Burr, which eventually shot Alexander Hamilton in his famous duel. And so Jefferson, when he became president, expanded the nation. 1803, the Louisiana Purchase, $15 million from France. What a steal. Lewis and Clark explores this new land. The U.S. is going to stand up when Britain keeps bullying us. The War of 1812. Notable key events in that: the White House burned down, Star Spangled Banner was written, Andrew Jackson became the hero of the Battle of New Orleans in 1814. We took a little trip. And then we had the Monroe Doctrine, perhaps the most important piece of legislation in American history. Monroe Doctrine: Europe, stay away from us, and we'll stay away from you. Stay away from us, we'll stay away from you. The Monroe Doctrine. And as you see, Louisiana Purchase here, double the size of the nation. From the original to the Louisiana Purchase. Double the size. And yes, here in Missouri, we were proud of the Louisiana Purchase. Thank you, Thomas Jefferson, for that. People began immediately moving west. And as Americans moved west, they ran into trouble, notably with the Native Americans. So President Andrew Jackson is going to do something about this, called the Indian Removal Act, aka the Trail of Tears, to remove all Native Americans east of Mississippi, move them out west. He said, "Oh, you'll be better out there. You'll be out there and have your own nation, and it'll be all great." But really, he was just kicking the can down the road to deal with it later on in the future. And this is another black mark on American history. Next comes to manifest what? Destiny. Americans continue to move west. North and South continue to grow apart and lead separate lives. We're not divorced yet, but we're separated. The northern manufacturing versus the southern plantation system. Manifest destiny. It's our God-given right to go from sea to shining sea. And no one is going to get in our way. No, not Great Britain. No, not the Mexicans. No, not the Native Americans. It's an American right to go from sea to shining sea, and we're going to take it. And so that leads to forceful removal of Native Americans, fight over the Oregon Territory, and the Mexican-American War. And then thousands of people go move west, 1849, because gold discovered. Everybody want to get rich. Not many got rich off gold, but territory was created. California, most notably, thousands of settlers are going to move west to Oregon Territory on the Oregon Trail. Manifest destiny leads to sectionalism, divides the country. Problems over slavery dominate the landscape. The Missouri Compromise set the standard, 36 parallel, free states above it, slave states below. But the Compromise 1850s broke it when it said, popular sovereignty in the states, let the states decide. Where do you want to be, a free state or a slave state? So it changed the game up. And that instituted the Fugitive Slave Act, Kansas-Nebraska Act, John Brown's raid, bleeding Kansas, Dred Scott decision. This is just all boiling up. And it's going to lead finally to the last straw. Abraham Lincoln gets elected in 1860, and South Carolina says, I'm out of here. The divorce is final. South seceded from the Union. Confederate States of America are born. April 1861, Civil War begins. After a long, bloody war, North wins in 1865 when Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse. And here you go, the Union and Confederacy. So, the North won because it was more money, men, resources, and transportation. President Lincoln was assassinated at Ford's Theater in 1865. Next step for nations to begin is healing reconstruction. Began freedom of the slavery, citizens, right to vote, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, respectively, all from Reconstruction. Alright, so here's my credits. All images found on Creative Commons fair use. Content written by myself, Mr. Wiedemer, narrator, editor, and executive producer, of course, myself. So, until next time, study history.